This video is sponsored by Autodesk. So sorry there hasn't been any videos lately, guys. I did start doing one the other day, but my AI noise reduction on my OBS recording software destroyed everything. So I've got it off, so you're just going to have to hear some clicking, unfortunately. Right, today we're going to be looking at, I'm going to knock out 2 tutorials today. The first one is going to be get closest location. So you've probably seen some of my YouTube shorts regarding this. I just want to show you how it's done. So first, I've got a sphere here. Normal sphere. I've just got it on display layer that's been templated, and I've just called it emit. And I'm going to drag that into the graph. Actually, let's start a completely new graph. Don't know what's going on here. Create graph. Drag emit in here, and let's drag our cube in here as well, right? So closest locations, quite simple. So we're just going to type in closest, get closest locations, and then we're going to need a location scope. So just type in location scope. So these guys kind of work in tandem together. So I'm just going to take locations from closest locations and put them into the locations port on the locations scope. Right, I've called this emit for a reason, because this is what is going to emit our rays. To do that, we're going to need to get a point position from this. And I'm just going to get point position. I'm going to put the positions into position of the closest location and into the positions of the location scope. Now, the rays that we want to cast onto, we're going to put into geometry here and geometry here. And we're going to plug that into the output. In the location scope, well, let's just leave it for a second and see what we've got. There we go. Let's just get everything together. So now we can grab our sphere and move it around, and we get this kind of thing going on. So these arrows and these points are pointing towards our object. At the moment, if I sort of put this sphere here, just to show you, at the moment you can basically see that those rays are coming off of the geometry, and as such it's casting like the pattern from the subdivisions. So just to get around that, if we want like a less linear set of points and more random, we could just in here just put in a scatter node, so scatter points, and I'll just put scatter points between our shape and the point positions. And then when that updates, we can see, if I just go into the location scope and switch off arrows and circles at origin for a minute, we can see those points just on our object. And so we can move it around and we can see, yeah, those points happening over the object. So points mean prizes. With points in Bifrost, we can do a lot of things. I showed an example in one of my YouTube shorts of like some snow. A kind of workflow for snow, which was, it's very basic, but if we just go, let's just go with, get point position, we're going to construct points, we're going to do a points to volume, just get my shopping list going. Points to volume, let's just do that. Right, so dosh, points into construct points into points to volume, location scope. Actually, I'm going to leave that one plugged in so we can see both. I'm going to bring that down into here and pull that to there. And in the points to volume, I'm just going to click level set. So we can see that those points are now meshed, and we can still grab our emit and move it around our shape, which is pretty handy. If I just switch that off for a minute, and obviously with the more points and the various detail sizes, we can start to create various. Where's my manipulator handle gone? We can create various kind of like extrusions or like surfaces which could be seen as shapes, and obviously we can put up like the amount of points that are in there or drag that down. So I mean, and that's pretty cool, really. But if we want to do it on more than one shape at a time, well, we could let's just create another cube over here. Now at the moment nothing's going to happen, so we're going to come in here and we're going to drag this new cube in. We could do it in two ways. We could click this cube and click this cube and drag it in, or we could do it like this. We could just build an array. So we're just going to go build an array, and outside of the array we're going to need to merge the geometry back down again. So we've got merge geometry, come on, into the right one, and then we're going to get build array into there, and so create an array of points in a way, and that merge geometry is just going to swap into here and into here. So now we can see that if we get our emit, it's working on both. So if you think about it, you could have a whole city there if you wanted to, and you would be casting these points over the top of it. And if you think about it, these cubes don't actually have any divisions on them, you know, and we're still getting lots of information travelling over the top of it. So that's pretty cool. We could, I mean, let's just try it on a let's just try it on a different level. So if we just take out that points to volume, and we'll just leave all those down here for a second, and then maybe we'll go with something like let's go with a basic particles graph, because I'm rebuilding my one at the moment. Basic particles graph, explode that bad boy, and we should just be able to plug the diagnostic geo straight into the source particles and the particles out. Obviously this is a non procedural, I mean it's a procedural workflow, but it's not a procedural effect in that we have to use the timeline. But yeah, I mean, you know, we've got lots of particles coming out of there, and it works really well. Let's just turn that gravity down a little bit, which means that we can, you know, start to emit particles from anything and anywhere. So I've just animated that sphere, but that's, you know, that's super powerful. Really, we don't, you know. They're not coming down from the sphere, they're creating, basically for us, emission points on these surfaces, which is pretty amazing really. I mean, I could switch on this character model here, drag that in, and we'll just swap out all those cubes for that. Well, no, we could have the cubes as well, why not, you know. I'll just plug this into the array as well, and we're going to get emission from this and that, you know, and that is super powerful, because, you know, if in the past, if you want to create an emission area or emission region, it's not that easy, it's finicky, it's a pain, but now, you know, with this tool, you can just use it, put it somewhere, animate it, do what you want with it. And you're creating some very, very cool effects, and it's very, very fast. And what I love about it is you've just got this lovely user feedback where we can just grab that emission and be like, do you know what? I don't want any animation on it, on that original sphere. I just want points emitting from like the back of the head, and you just rewind and play, and that is what you get. And then, you know, it's not just particles, is it? Because when you've got points, you can do whatever you like. So let's just unplug the points. Sorry, the particles. I'll just put in something like MJCG. That's just my little arrow solver. I say my little arrow solver. It's not mine. I just, you know, just kind of tidied up some arrow attributes. But there we've got, you can download this, but literally MJCG is just an arrow solver, and I've just added some bits to it to maybe make it a bit easier. Anyway, so yeah, with that, you know, we'll get location scope and we'll plug that into the source, and we will put the output into the output and rewind and play, and we get fire in the same way as we would with particles or anything else. So very, very powerful, but very simple as well. That's like, it's super simple. But you know, once again, if you wanted to emit something from like just this part of the head, it would be a pain. But now you can just go in and, you know, just obviously swap out your objects, and yeah. So let's see what other things we could do with it. So we've got that. We could use something like Maxim's plexus plugin, create plexus from points, and we could do something kind of cool with that as well. I could just plug that in there and plug that in there, and then if I was to like just switch off that model and we'll get rid of that thing there, we can see, and this is a really nice look, but you can just, you know, move that around the model. You can animate that, you know, do what you will. It's very, very cool, and you know, it's coming down on these areas as well. So yeah, that's another use for location scope. I'm just going to keep going through. There's another one, and let's just go with if you go into the Bifrost browser, if you go into Maxim's MJCG tools, we could go to something like let's go to something like his Ivy basic growth, right? Import that. Then we're going to be right. Okay, Ivy seeds, generate Ivy surface. So I'm going to just Control C because I'm going to steal all of those, and I'm going to go back into our scene. If you haven't got those plugins, those compounds, I'll put a link in the description. So we've got location scope here, so I could just be like, right, I'm going to get that point position, and I'm going to use that as the Ivy seeds. The point position is the Ivy seeds. If you've ever used this, you need to put seeds where you want to generate the Ivy. The Ivy surface, I could just put in the original meshes if I want them to wrap around it. So yeah, let's just do that. And we'll put that into the Ivy mesh, and I'll output the strands, and let's just see what we've got. There we go. So now we've got the strands, the Ivy is emitting, and let's just see if our little emit tool allows us to kind of move it around. There we go. So now there's another tool now for, you know, like being able to create some sort of, you know, Ivy generation, but artistically you can move it around and start to create some cool stuff. As I said, super powerful. If you've got points, you can do a lot in Bifrost, and this way just allows us to move points around where we want, basically, and yeah, and you don't even need to use like any kind of effect like that. You just might be like, do you know what, I just want to see some points, I want them to be procedural, so you could just put in a point scope, bing bada boom, and plug that into here and get that out. And then, you know, you might just want to change these to circles, and, you know, you might want to render those out, some kind of like motion graphics-y kind of look. What else could we do? Okay, I've got this other node. This other node is actually another tutorial in itself, but fractal vector force. Kapow! Big old node. And if we... let's just get rid of all this mess down here, because look, It's getting a bit silly, isn't it? Goodbye. That is satisfactory, that is. So let's have a look at what we've got going on here. So we've got merge geometry. Let's get rid of these cubes and that, and we don't need merge geometry of our guy here, so we're just going to plug that in there. Plug that in there. Get rid of this. We're getting serious now. Onto more serious looking effects, alright? So let's just plug our location scope back into the output again for a second. You can see that we've got this going on. Right. So this is fractal vector force. I just put it together through some other nodes, but basically you just need to, you know, it works on fields. Well, let's just have a look at it. Basically, it just works on voxel fields. So you've got a voxel field going to an F-curve field. A gradient of that, and across, forget this other bit, this is just for the influence for particle system. But you got voxel field, gradient field, crossed with fractal noise field and a gradient field, plugged into a vector scope, and then I've just take probe geometry and bounce geometry back out, and we just end up with this, and just expose some bits and bobs. But it does require a volume. So it's really simple. We've got our head here, and we'll just go, just start typing in volume because we're going to do a meshed volume. Mesh to volume, where are you? Mesh to volume, there. And we'll just stick that in there, and stick that into volume. That's okay, we're just going to right click and go fan in, and then we've got our location scope, and we're going to put that into mesh, and I'll just fan that in as well. We're not going to use out influence, we're going to use vector field scope out, and once we've done that, we are going to just make sure to tick on store level set, and here we go. Right, start to get some insanity going on. So I use this a lot in my own artworks and stuff. It's an area that I'm fascinated with. I love fields, but what I love even more than just fields is the ability to artistically be able to move around an object to create the sort of shape that I want, rather than just, you know, letting it do its thing. So I can move this over here and I can get some really nice shapes going on, something quite abstract, and you know, we can animate it, we can do whatever the hell we want with it. It's doing that because obviously we've got holes in our original mesh, so if we just go into the volume, and we'll go down to min hole radius, I'll just stick in 0.1 there, and we will put an end to that madness. So yeah, it's really beautiful. I love using this. I use it a lot. As I said, you know, if you check out any of my artwork, which you can see if you follow me on Twitter, I'm in a rabbit hole of this and combining multiple fields to create all sorts of kind of interesting stuff. I mean, it keeps me up at night. Honestly, it does. I just put some tunes on and you know, I'm away, because this kind of effect, along with some narrative, can give you some really nice art and that kind of thing, which I'm quite passionate about. So there's that, and then if you wanted to, you could animate it. You could just be crazy. You could go down into flow length in seconds, and I'll just type in time here, and we'll put some time in, and then obviously time's not going to be exactly how I want it, so I will either divide or multiply it. I haven't thought about that. Well, for the purposes of this, we don't need to do that. But, you know, if you want it to speed up or whatever, you could just put a mult in there, go to multiply, just stick a value in there as well. And then we'll just put our seconds into multiply, and then our value underneath it. And then this back into flow lines, and then we've got a number that we can use to speed it up or slow it down. In this case, speed it up. So if I put in 3, start buzzing on fairly quickly. Yeah, and it's really nice. It's going to go off and do its thing, and you can render it and show everyone how clever you are. So yeah, that is that. I will try and get all this stuff into a scene for you guys. But I think, you know, really closest location and location scope is something you can just put together and start playing with it yourself. See what kind of things you can do, and you know, feel free to follow me on Twitter. I'll put my Twitter tag up on the screen or in the description, because I'd love to see, you know, any of the stuff that you guys create or whatever. And you know, I don't often ask for this kind of thing, but you know, I've been doing YouTube for a long time, and you know, growing the audience would be awesome, especially for the Bifrost community. So feel free to share this and whatever, do whatever helps the algorithm. So that is location scope and a whole bunch of effects that go with it. And I'm going to move on to the next tutorial, which is going to be creating heads-up display, and that has been a mammoth task for me to put together for you guys, and that will be a free scene for you. Anyway, cheers guys, take care, have fun, see you later, bye bye.